Hello, welcome to another edition of the Pace Report. I'm Brian Pace, reporting live here at Dizzy's Club Coca-Cola, here at Jazz at Lincoln Center here in New York City. Drummer Ulysses Owens Jr. has played with some of the most important, if not prolific, jazz figures of this last decade, ranging from Nina Freeline to Terrence Blanchard to Christian McBride. Tonight here at Dizzy's, he's performing selections off his brand new record, Onward and Upward, on the Clef Notes Records imprint, and it's co-produced by trombonist and arranger and educator Michael Deese. We sat down earlier and we talked about this brand new record. We talked about his origins growing up in Jacksonville, Florida in the church, as well as him giving back to the community. As you might know, Ulysses is very, very passionate about giving back to the youth, and he has a program that he started with his family that's going on in Jacksonville, Florida, which helps underprivileged youth to achieve musical aspirations. So sit back, relax, enjoy the sounds of Mr. Ulysses Owens Jr. live here at Dizzy's Club Coca-Cola here at Jazz at Lincoln Center here on the Pace Report. Ulysses, man, congratulations on this brand new record. And one of the things that really sticks out about this record are a couple of things. Mm-hmm. You're playing a lot of contemporary songs in addition to standards and some of your original compositions. Yeah. And also, Michael Deese has a really, really good ear for you, man. He puts. Tell me how all this came together.
So, first of all, thanks, man. It's great to be a part of this. But yeah, Mike and I talked about almost 2 years ago, right when I finished the record Unanimous, and that was in 2011. And I said, Mike, we got Unanimous out the way. I got some other music I'm hearing. And he said, okay, let's talk about it. And I said, man, I love swing, and that's my heart. I said, but man, I'm hearing something where I'm pushing the envelope. So he said, well, what is it? So I knew that the sound of, like, there's a tune on the record called SST. That was sort of the first song for me. And then I said, what about the tune People Make the World Go Round? And he said, okay, cool. And he did an arrangement. And then I just started literally organically finding songs that fit the project. You know, it wasn't like Unanimous where I knew I wanted McBride and all these guys on the record, and I had the list already picked out. With this one, these songs literally started coming to me. You know, whether like one of the songs, Gift of Forgiveness, it came to me when I was in Japan in a dream. The melody came to me and I created it. So this project really was about a year and a half of undertaking of just music evolving over time, you know.
You know, I'm listening to this CD, and, you know, there's a maturity on this that is like unlike your other CDs. You know, I like the fact that, you know, you're doing People Make the World Go Round, and then you do Human Nature, and then you dive into Phyllis Hyman. How did that come about?
Man, so People Make the World Go Round was very much kind of like what was going on in the world for me. You know, I listened to the song because I grew up. My father's a huge soul music buff. So when I looked at what was going on in the world, I actually was going to name the record People Make the World Go Round, because I'm like, man, we got to come together, man. This world is going through some interesting, you know, issues, and everybody's, you know, trying to get certain rights and privileges and things like that. So I'm like, man, come on, we got to come together and make this thing go round, but in the right way. So that's why that was on there. And then Human Nature, Sands and I have been messing around with it, and we just loved that melody, so that had to be on there. But Phyllis Hyman, I've had a love affair with her music, bro, for, you know, since the movie School Days. Spike Lee, she does a cameo in there. And so I started buying all her records. And this song came on one day. I happened to be at home, and it literally chills went up my spine. And so I would start my evening or my morning with it. And finally I was like, you know what? I got to figure out how to put this on the record. So I called up Diego Rivera, which is a great arranger and musician, colleague of Michael D's at Michigan. And he penned it, man. And here it is, and it's on the record. But I adore Phyllis, and I wanted to figure out how to take covers, but sort of covers that people don't really think about often other than Human Nature. And I wanted to adapt them in a jazz context, but really arrange them, you know. So, yeah, man.
Trash today. Oh, why? Because they want more pay. Yeah. A bus is on strike for the raise in fare, so they can help pollute the air. But that's what makes the world go round, the ups and downs, the carousel. People make the world go round.
Ulysses, how is it now being a leader now? I mean, you've played with a plethora of different artists, and you know this is your third project. How is it now being a leader now, telling and orchestrating the musicians on how you are visually hearing your music?
It's really an interesting experience for me now because I feel like now, you know, I'm now in my 30s, and you know, when I first started making records, I was 24, 25. So I feel like when I first started making records, the first two, I felt like I had something to prove. You know, I was like, you know, I'm gonna show the jazz world that I'm a bad cat, you know. And now it's just like I don't really care if they ever think that I'm a great drummer or if they ever think I'm a great musician. I want to make an honest statement. And that's really where I'm at in my life right now, where I want to make a pure and genuine statement. And I want my music to move people in a positive direction. So that is my goal now as a band leader, is to really move people and to allow my music to be purposeful and not my own personal gain for my career. I don't really care about career advancement anymore, in that, you know, hey, we all got to make a dollar here and there, but I really want my music to do something for people. So that's where I'm at now as a band leader.
You know, now, you know, everyone knows you play with Christian McBride, you played with, oh my goodness, Nina Freeline, Diane Shore. I mean, you have a palette, and I want to know how your sensibilities mesh with a lot of, especially Christian, because he's so music forward with the big band as well as, you know, Inside Straight and then the trio.
Yeah. Well, for me, you know, I tell people that I'm a musician first, but second, I'm an actor. And part of, I think, one of the reasons why I'm given or afforded the ability to work with a lot of people is I know how to change gears. I know how to get on a bandstand, whether it's Diane Shore, whether it's Diane Reeves or whomever, and put their music first. And then what I really feel like I know how to do is I know how to tap into their sound. So I know how to adjust my sound enough for whatever their vision is. You know what I mean? And I think that's what's really allowed me to be blessed to work with a lot of people, is that I go in, I check my ego at the door, and I say, okay, McBride, for your big band, what do you need? And he always tells me, you know, for the big band, he's like, all right, you got 17 mouths to feed. So I feed those 17 people. When I'm with the trio, we express ourselves. When I'm with Diane, I tap into whatever her bag is. So I learned how to change gears, and I learned how to fit into whatever the script or the role that I need to play. And I'm very fortunate that I get to play some really cool roles with some great people. So, and it's what I dreamed to do. You know, I moved to New York 13 years ago because one of my inspirations was Lewis Nash, who is, you know, the MVP. And I wanted to be the next him. And I studied his career, and I studied what he was doing. And I was like, that's what I want. And I looked up, and, you know, he was working with Diana Krall and working with Wynton. He was working with Tommy Flanagan. I mean, he was the guy. And so I would watch him, and he would allow me to go with him to sessions. And I was like, I want to have that kind of thing where I can match with anybody. So I just keep working on it, you know, and being open.
This record also is really a tribute and dedication to your mentor, Mulgrew Miller, and you and just about everybody in the jazz world really kind of were hit by that. Tell me about the first time Mulgrew and you guys met, and tell me how he helped you evolve as a musician here in New York.
I met Mulgrew 3 weeks after I moved to New York, and it was actually the day of September 11th. So I met him September 11th, 2001, and he came over to me and he said, hey, kid, you sound good, but work that ride cymbal more. And then he said, you need to buy a new cymbal too, because I had a bad cymbal. So I was impressed by that because I never had anybody really teach me this music. You know, I grew up in Jacksonville, Florida, where I would just play with a lot of people, but nobody really, like, taught me. So this was the first guy that was like, hey, I'll show you something. So I went up to him, and I was like, hey, man, can I get your email address? So that was the beginning of my relationship with him as a mentee. And he said to me, he said, you know, there's a lot of young guys who I've offered to mentor them, and they won't let me. He said, but if you let me, I'll help you. And so literally, man, it just was this mentorship relationship where he would just pick me up from school, man, take me to a rehearsal studio. We play tunes together. You know, I'd go to his house for Easter with his family and have dinner because I couldn't go home with my family. And after every gig that I ever had with him, he would write me a detailed email of what I needed to work on. He'd send me records, and he'd pay for me to go check out drummers because I was too broke to do it. I mean, so this guy was literally my angel. I've been very blessed to have great parents, but he was my musical father because he guided me into music. So when he left this earth, it was a void, and I'm still just kind of getting over that. But you know, no matter how successful I was blessed to become, I owe so much of that to him. You know, because it's easy to let somebody come to the scene who's great and they're wonderful, but it's very difficult to train somebody. You know, and not many people commit to that long term. And Mulgrew, that cat was special, man. There's not many people like him that took people under their wing. And the thing about Mulgrew, he didn't care if I was going to be successful, but he did it because of the scene. His thing was like, we need more young guys who really know how to play this music. So, and he passed down stories, you know, from Art Blakey. He told me warm-ups that Tony Williams would do. I mean, he completely was a blessing to me, and I'm thankful for his life. So, yeah, I miss him, man.
You know, Ulysses, you were born and bred in Jacksonville, Florida, and you got your start in the church.
Yeah, man, 2 years old. My mother is a choir director, and my father's a sound guy, and that's where I was baptized by fire, man. And that was, you know, pretty much my goal from about 2 till about 13, 14. I just played in church, and then I wanted to kind of get into fusion. And then when I was 16, I knew I wanted to come to New York because I knew New York was this place I wanted to be, and I knew I wanted to go to college for music. So I met John Riley, and he said, "You sound good." He said, "But man, you got a lot of gospel stuff." He said, "But if you really want to play this music, you got to check it out." So he said, "Go check out a record." And the record was Miles Davis' Milestone with Philly Joe Jones. I felt like somebody, again, baptized me, you know. And after that, I literally put all the records I've been listening to before. At that time, it was like, you know, Tupac and, you know, Boyz II Men and all that. I put all that in a closet, and I went and bought all this jazz, and I went, and what I couldn't afford to buy, I went to the library, and I was renting out 10, 12 CDs a week. And I was just digesting this music, and I was like, I'm going to be a jazz musician. And that's where it began for me, man.
That'll do it again for another edition of the Pace Report. Reporting live here at Disney's Club Coca-Cola, here at Jazz and Lincoln Center here in New York City. I'd like to personally thank the talented Ulysses Owens Jr. for his time, as well as the staff and management here at Disney's Club Coca-Cola for their warm hospitality. As always, please visit my website, www.thepacereport.com, for my weekly column as well as my past segments. Until next time, remember, if it's in the groove, it'll make you move. Till next time, peace.